Hey, how are you? How's everybody going? How's your day going? So, if you follow me around Chicago yesterday, you know what kind of day I had yesterday. My name is LuAnn, and I am the host of the podcast, A Well-Designed Business, as well as Window Treatments for Profit. And today we are going to be talking about Brad Leavitt. We're going to be talking with Brad Leavitt from AFT Construction, and he is going to be participating in LuAnn Live, Health and Wealth, A Well-Designed Business Within a Well-Designed Life, this November 5th to 8th in Orlando, Florida. You can learn more about it by staying with us today for the next 25 minutes. And you can also go to luannlive.com in order to learn more. So I see that Brad is here and I am going. Hello, Leanie. How are you? Hi, Kate. Hi, Mom. Hi, Cecilia. Hey, everybody. So Brad is connecting now, I'm sure. There he is. Hey,
How's it going, LuAnn?
all right. How you doing, buddy?
You can see I'm in my mobile office today, so
How are you?
I'm doing very good. How about
Good.
yourself?
I know you're busy as heck, so I'm really glad that you're taking, 20, 25 minutes with me today. So thank you.
Yeah, happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Before I have a couple of questions I want to ask you, but listen, not everybody with us today might know who you are. So we've sent them emails this week telling them who you are and telling the different podcast episodes on my podcast that you've been to and about your podcast. But give us the elevator pitch on Brad Leavitt from AFT Construction.
Sure. So we are a custom builder in Phoenix area. We're actually going to be expanding in some other markets nationally, which is pretty exciting. So I haven't really broadcast that very much. So for those listening, they're going to hear that, LuAnn. We're actually been working on this for a couple of years now. But right now, Phoenix area, we build residential and commercial construction, mostly new build. I'm a huge fan of your show and what you do, LuAnn, for our industry. And of course, part of our thing is we won't do a project without an interior designer. So that's a big part of who we are. But we have an incredible team. I think we're at 23 employees now, and just some amazing projects here locally and soon to be nationally. So.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, you are like, could we just clone you and make every builder a Brad builder, right? Like the fact that you value and appreciate the interior designer so much is what we love and respect about you. And I'll just say to all of you guys with us right now, when we're done, go look at Brad's Instagram. Like the homes that you are doing are like ridiculous. And I always say, I don't care about the pretty, but I can appreciate the pretty. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know that, for any builder or interior designer, any creative professional, window treatment professional, a website developer, it doesn't matter. For any creative person to have that kind of talent to put out such beautiful finished product, it's important and it's special. But if it's not combined with profitability, like that's where my interest goes away. It's like vanity, right? It's like wait, you have a family. You are doing this for your family. You leave your family every day and go work on these things. And if you don't come back and translate that into the lifestyle for them, why are they going without you every day, right?
It's interesting you say that, LuAnn, because I was just having this discussion yesterday. So, I have a podcast just as you do, and I was recording an episode yesterday. And, the lady that was on that'll be coming out, Suzanne Mariga, she's like a fractional CFO. And, so she helps with businesses. And of course, she's a CPA. And she made the comment in the episode, and she's like, Brad, early in my career, I wasn't making money. I'm working hours and I'm breaking even. I love what I do. So, I guess I could say it's, but why am I not being compensated? Why is there this race to the bottom on occasion? But I think more importantly, it's, what's really hard for builders, architects, designers, especially in a fee-driven business, is understanding your worth, understanding what you can charge for. But more than anything, understanding what are my costs? How do I job costs? How do I make money? I'm doing these complicated projects. I'm taking on all this risk, not just from I look at it for me as a builder that everything I do is risk. And now I'm working with clients. Why am I shaving off, some of my overhead or not, showcasing what it really costs to build a job? And a lot of this comes with confidence and education. And that's why, like these seminars that you're having, LuAnn, and we have these in construction are really valuable because I found that in my career, especially lately, so much of it is just understanding the cost to run a business, how to communicate that. And then when you have the confidence to sit in front of a customer, now you have the pieces to the puzzle and you can actually be profitable in what you do.
It's 100%. Like, it's funny because I just was at ASID Illinois in Chicago, and they put on a fantastic all-day business boot camp, and I sat there all day listening to other speakers, and I was super impressed. And then when I keynoted at the end of the day, I literally said to them, if you don't know what it costs you to do a project, it is always going to be a struggle to charge your worth, because you always underestimate what it costs to do something. Like you do, if you're not doing it on hard data, right? If you're just like, well, probably, that lumber for that project will be $15,000. But when you look at 6 projects that you did, Brad, and you're like, oh, it actually is between $22,000 and $25,000 for lumber. All of a sudden, the next time you have to put that $8,000 on, and I'm making up numbers, I have no idea how much lumber costs for a house, right? But like when it's a hard actual understanding your cost to run a job, you can't not say the number now, because I don't care where you are in your journey, how new you are in business. The crux of it is, if you have a clear understanding what it costs to do that project, you're not going to price it under cost. Like, you're just not, right?
Yeah.
But so many of us don't do it from data, right,
Well,
Brad?
I learned from you, LuAnn. I mean, you're big on the autopsy, right? You have to do the autopsy when it's done. But the reality is, and this is something, again, going back to experience, it took me a while in my career to understand how important that job costing is, and really to go back and evaluate every line. Where are we off? Even when I'm, internally at a cost plus, if I'm looking at supervision, what it takes me, what's my build time? What's my build cycle? And you know what? That's changed. Something I built in 2018 is much different today in 2023. And COVID's affected that supply chain. Limited labor, we're all dealing with that. But unless you're constantly tracking, in fact, yesterday we had our production meeting as well as a company, and specifically in there with all 23 employees, we're sitting there saying, these are line items that continue to be an issue for us from estimating. So we're sitting there with our pre-con, estimating team saying, this is how I need to set the expectation, the sales process with the client. Here's how we need to implement it, in our page turners. We're going through design book and with our architectural plans. And then here's how we're going to execute this in the field. And job costing is something that a lot of us just aren't doing enough or spending enough time. And that's really going to be the key to future profits down the road.
It's so true. It's so true. And, I learned this from Vinny, right? Like, all these years of running Window Works with Vinny, and, he just never he never let us off the hook on, oh, that job was amazing. It was a $40,000 job. And he's like, right. But we made $8,000 on it. And then we did a $16,000 job that we made 10 grand on. What are you doing, people? This took us 20 times longer to do, 60,000 more moving parts. You have to price properly, right? And so that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I mean, sometimes we may go into something at the estimating phase or the contract phase and think this would be a great job. This would be a good one for us. We're going to make, a good margin. I'm bringing in money. I'm seeing these dollars coming in. Just because we're bringing a lot of dollars doesn't mean that we're making money, right? And so the reality is, if you're not tracking that and understanding it, I think more importantly, LuAnn, something that is really important, and this has kind of helped us really position ourselves as well, is early on, which in fairness, a lot of us are, I'm taking any job I can get. I'm taking whatever phone call comes in. We're building the reputation. But quickly you learn, I should not be performing this scope of work. I should not be performing this service, because not only is it taking a lot of time and exhausting my focus and where I can be, but I'm not making money. I'm paying the client for this. And so job costing will help you really strategize to understand, as you tie it into marketing too, and understand your ideal client and where you want to focus. Here's where we need to put our energy. Here's other jobs that make sense to us as a client. Here's what makes projects successful. And, you can put those together and now really be efficient on the goal of the company.
Yeah. I love that, because, what you're saying in there, correct me if I'm picking it up properly, is what you're saying in there is, by also following your data and doing your job costing and everything, you could find out that, oh, we keep taking on this type of project, or we keep taking on this layer of the project, and we don't make money when we do that. So like for a designer, it might be, there's always the levels, right? In the beginning, you take every job, but like, you might be like, every time I do one off bathroom, I make $3,000. But if I do a one-off primary bedroom, I can make 25 grand. Like, there's a way to make the bathroom profitable. You know what I'm saying though? It's like, it's just getting in there. Like, what is my lane and where does our company perform well and make good profit? And if we consistently are in this lane and it's consistently not a profit generator for us, just slice it off and sub it out or give it away or refer it away, right?
Yeah, because essentially, I mean, you're looking at best practice. I mean, best practice, you better understand exactly, here's how we're going to live by, here's how we're going to contract, here's the jobs we're going to work on. And yeah, there may be times where you make an executive decision. There may be a relationship. There may be, sales opportunity, right? You would call it lost leader in sales. You might take something to get in and have this opportunity in front of a specific client or vendor, manufacturer. Or maybe it's a lull, right? Recession could be looming for us and you may do something, but at least if you understand the cost, if you understand what it's going to take you as a business owner. I mean, anyone that's watched Shark Tank, always the thing they show is what's your cost of sales, what's your cost to retain customers.
We're missing you now. We're missing you now. I can't hear you. Hey, Mimi. I can't hear you. Don't you love technology? It's just so ridiculous, isn't it? Like, we're moving along, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden we can't hear them. It's like so crazy. There's always something. There's always something. But how much do you love Brad? Like, honestly, like, he's just so smart. He gets it. And he is going to be there at LuAnn Live for all 4 days. There you go. Good, good, good. Yeah, we are. You're not moving, but I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what happened. I think it's because someone was calling me. So classic blunder, right?
That's it. That's it. No big deal. That's it. So that you're back, moving, grooving, talking all the things. And you were talking about, yes, sometimes like you might identify that this particular type of project isn't your sweet spot, but a lull in business, or it's going to lead to something else. But what I think what you were about to say, and we're saying in there, is you go into it understanding the why. You don't just do it because, well, why not? Right?
Yeah. And really, if you understand the why, and if you really understand, you can make decisions, because it always goes to best practice, but you can always alternate through that as long as you understand the why and the cost, right? And then you can, ideally have a leadership team. I mean, something that I implemented early this year, and this is thankful in my Builder 20, they came in and said, Brad, although you may have a clear understanding of where you want to go as a company, you have a lot of good people that need to be part of this. And that leadership council, some of the executives in your company, and if you're a small company, it could be 2 of you, it could be 4 or 5 of you. Right. But counseling with them on, hey, where are we missing the beat here? Where are we making mistakes? And what aspect of the line is the chain being broken? And then repair those. And then ideally, if you're making decisions, you can do that as a team, and just have a good understanding by knowing what it costs you.
I love it. I was saying to them when you were like a little frozen there, I was like, oh my God, don't you just love him?
You're so funny. The feeling's mutual.
But you just get to it. You get right to the heart of it. It's like, yes, this is amazing. And it's a fun, beautiful career. And you create beautiful outcomes for people to live their lives in these amazing homes. But it's not la la land. It's like, we're doing this with intention at every level of it, right? And I think that's awesome. And I love the way you run your company with vision. And I know when you're at LuAnn Live, and not only when you're on the stage, but when you're part of the VIP day, and when you're there just like in the audience, and at the lunches and the dinners, this is why I love working with you, because you're multifaceted. You're a true leader, right? You have the actual, like, what are we going to do, boots on the ground to run a project? You have the true, we're going to run this intentionally, the autopsy, we're going to investigate what went right, what went wrong. But you also have this, big picture perspective of what do we have to do to get there? You know what I mean? And you're just always sharing this. I love it.
Well, I appreciate that, LuAnn. All I can say is that I know that there's a lot of mistakes I've made. I'm sure we spent a couple hours at LuAnn Live, or even on this episode, of all the mistakes I've made, or our team. But one thing I can say is that we're definitely better today than we were yesterday, and we're going to be better tomorrow than we were today. And that's definitely one of our core beliefs at AFT and like our company is that we're going to find every way to better our process. Yesterday, so we meet as a company twice a month, and for 2 hours, we had all 23 of us, and all that was a strategy session on we're going to fix these 12 things that are an issue, and then the next one we're going to figure out 12 more, and
Wow.
it's just valuable. And I do want to touch on one thing you said, LuAnn, about LuAnn Live in Orlando. What I do love about these events is not only do the continuing education, and this goes back to the confidence and the understanding how to run your business and be effective and communicate these things with clients. But I find so much value. It's those conversations outside of the main speaking.
Yep.
It's sitting in the audience. It's, at dinner when you're sitting next to someone and it's a little bit more of a one-on-one conversation. That's why I'm excited to go, because I think there's so much that I learn. And one thing I think a lot of us fail to do is, for me, it's really important to understand where's construction going, where's building science going, where's technology going. That's great. But I need to be networking with people that aren't contractors, right? Designers, architects, people in the auto industry, the medical field. There's so much to learn from people, for how they're applying things in their business that we can extract and bring back to ours. And that's why these events, I'm such a fan.
No, I love it. And I love that you brought that up, because it's funny because, I've been getting a lot of DMs, emails, phone calls, questions saying to me, well, if I'm a window treatment professional, should I really come? Or, I know Brad's going to be there and he's a builder, but I'm a builder. Should I really come? And I'm just like the designers know they should be there. The designers, they've been following me. They're with me. They're my peeps. But the adjunct people in our industry. And I'm like, yeah, like, if you're a window treatment person, don't you want to know how a designer thinks? If you're a builder, don't you want to know how a designer or a window treatment person thinks? To your exact point, it's like we can learn so much from our exact counterpart. But it's this kind of conversation where if I'm a designer, whether I'm designing 5 years or 25 years, when I hear a builder like yourself talk about cost analysis and how you intentionally arrive at pricing your project, doesn't that inform me when I go and I present to my end consumer, here's the construction budget, here's what this is going to cost? If they're like, that seems like a lot, if I don't really understand what's in it, I'm like, yeah, it does seem like a lot. Instead, if I've had the benefit of conversation with you, I'm like, oh, no. You don't understand what's going to happen on this job. This is what he's doing. This is what gets put into it, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how you close deals. You actually understand the value of the whole deal, right?
But the thing is, LuAnn, you want to talk about the upper hand, a cheat sheet. If I know exactly what it takes my interior designer to run her business, or he or she, right, run their business and the complications and their pain points, if I know that from my architect and my lighting and landscape architects, if I know what my client's dealing with, if I have, essentially the roadmap to understand this, do you know how much more effective I'm going to be, especially in pre-construction and just the camaraderie throughout the build? These things, these projects we're building and our suppliers, they're extremely complicated. You're dealing with, especially some of the projects we're working on. I have a home that's, that I'm going to head to after this. It's 60,000 square feet with a ton of elements to it. And, we did,
60,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's a monster. And another one, with like lazy rivers and trampoline barns and all these unique things. And they're highly complicated. And, I've been hosting a contractor coalition summit with a couple of partners of mine in the industry. And what's interesting, LuAnn, is we've had vendors attend this. We've had subcontractors and general contractors and remodelers, and all of them come in, and even our suppliers that really, what we're teaching at the core curriculum is really maybe not for them, but they come in saying, I have a totally different respect for what builders are dealing with and how complicated it is. I know how to serve them better, and now I'm going to have better partnerships with all my contractors, because essentially I know all the pain points and exactly the way in, and I know how to solve them. And really in sales, what are we doing? We're solving pain points. And if you can solve them, market it, that's the value you bring, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah. No, that's, I 100%. Look, I've told everybody from day one, I identify first, like after a person, after a woman, a wife, a mother. My core identity as a business person is as a salesperson. That's my core identity as a business person, right? But I know from a sales standpoint that especially if I've got to sell a whole vision, a whole picture to that point. I need to know what everybody else is bringing in so that when somebody says to me, yeah, but I'm like, no, 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 no. Right. And that's why builders should come to LuAnn Live to really understand what designers are going through. That's why window treatment people should come to LuAnn Live, because you understand what the builders and the designers are going through. And you know what's funny is I know that you probably have this in your community with builders. I think both communities, designers and builders, we're part of the same community. And that's what you and I are really, our joint mission is to get everybody to get it. We're all in it together, right? But the thing is, I imagine it happens on the builder side like it does on the designer side. There is some unfortunate knee-jerk reactions. Oh, that builder this. Oh, that builder that. Or that designer this. Oh, that designer that. And what I know is, and what you know is, and what you just said is, the more the builder and the designer and the architect and the window treatment person talk as humans and get involved in what goes on, the more it's like, oh, right, all the same table, just different legs on the table, but the table doesn't stand up without all of us, right?
It's the human connection, right? And that's something a lot of us miss it's not just a transaction. Building homes, designing homes, this is not a transactional business like other industries. This is a human connection business. The more you understand that, restaurant industry can be similar. The medical field can be similar, right? Bedside manner, right? This is what really protects doctors from malpractice most of the time. But tying back to what you're saying, LuAnn, what's interesting is, I'm really big on LinkedIn. I'm like a huge proponent of LinkedIn. The one thing that drives me nuts about LinkedIn is these cold messages, the DMs, right? People just say, I connect with you, LuAnn, and here's what I'm selling you. But what's interesting, going back to kind of the whole topic here, for any advice for someone in sales, which we're all in sales, if I know your pain points because I've learned them from networking and attending these events, well, I essentially now know how to approach you and provide value to LuAnn. And, if I can provide value and I know the pain points, and I understand what you're dealing with and I can solve those, well, now that partnership's executed and it's going to be a lot more than just a DM on LinkedIn. It's going to be a real connection. There's a human connection we just mentioned. And that's where you get the synergy you need.
That's right. That's the truth, because, it's funny because I'm sure you're the same way with your podcast. What happens is somebody will come at you, and this is no different to your point that a designer who wants to approach a builder or a builder who wants to approach a designer. If you're just coming with what's in your head, what you want to do, and you're not taking it from the perspective of how I can make your project better, easier, more efficient, then I don't even hear it. It's just white noise, right? And how do you really know what a builder needs or a designer needs or a window person needs if you don't have real conversations with them? And where do you have these real conversations? So, and that's the thing. LuAnn Live is unlike any other conference in the industry. And I say this, and I always have to say the next sentence, not because the other conferences aren't good, but because there's no point in doing the same as everybody else. And so my conferences, in my head, my first conference was LuAnn Live, it's about the conversation. And we have different themes for each one, but in my mind, it's about the conversation. And so what we do at LuAnn Live is there is tons of opportunity to be together, it's not like, oh, there's a panel discussion at 11 and the next one is at 1. So I think I'm going to go to the pool. And then at 1:45 or 1:45, I'm like, oh, this is really good. I'm going to miss that panel discussion. It's like, no. We are together from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And we are working, talking, eating, drinking together. And we are creating that foundation for the relationship so that we can ask a real question, not like a high level. It's like, can I ask you really the truth about this? Yes, you can. Please do that.
Well, I think that to that point, what's interesting, LuAnn, is I feel really fortunate that I could call you a friend. We've been connected for a few years now, and I was able to join you and speak in Vegas. But what's interesting is, throughout the year, you and I will text each other. We'll send Voxer, voice messages and connect on things. But it's different when you're in person. It's different when you're there. Hey, I'm at the conference for 2 days, for 3 days, and this is my goal. There's value I want to get out of this, and it's a lot different than just those normal things, because you and I are busy with lives and family and work, and It's a little bit different when you're attending in person. And I've always found value attending in person for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. The last thing I want to bring up before I let you go, we have 3 minutes and I know you're busy, is I'm getting two different messages from people. Literally, some people are saying, I'm not sure I have enough experience to be in the room. And the other side of it, I'm getting people saying, you know, I've been in the business 10, 15 years. I don't need to be in the room. And I didn't even prep you for this. I'm not even going to say, here's my thoughts. Like, I'm just going to throw that out there as another seasoned, highly performing professional. What's your answer to that?
Two things. And so this is something I deal with too. What's funny about that is I'll address maybe the more seasoned one first. Someone 15 years, first off, I've been in this industry a long time. I know I may seem fairly young, but I've been in this a long time. There's so much I'm learning every day, right? And as I mentioned, inside, outside industry, there's so much that we need to be doing. For the young ones, are you kidding? If I had something like this, if I just started my business, I have my summit too. And people ask the same question, Brad, I just started my business. I'm like, there's no better time to come if you just started, because you're going to be around all these. There's so much experience in the room. And why pay for your education when you could be learning off the mistakes of others and their wisdom and their knowledge? And, when it comes to just that continuing education, it'll catapult you so fast in your career. And I know that at our first summit that we had, which is similar to what you're doing, LuAnn, because we're both about bringing value, right? One of the attendees, had been building, won a ton of awards, been building for 20 years. And he's like, I learned more in the first hour than my whole career. Like, where's all this information been?
Right.
And so I just think there's these mind moments that, these moments that come on, they're just like the light bulb kicks on. You're like, that's great. I'm going to apply that. And I'll just say, just my podcast, like you, every guest on my podcast will come on and they'll say something. I'm like, that's genius. I'm going to take that. I'm going to use that, or I'm going to apply that and do that in my business. So, I just think there's too much. Yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm 4 decades in business, and I am like, and it's funny, like, I learned something on every episode. Every single person has taught me one little thing. And I know the same thing. Like, I know me and you, and I know everybody that I invited to be at LuAnn Live as a speaker and panelist has the same core, like, culture and belief that we are not above anybody. We are not too seasoned to, like, not have a conversation with you. We want for you to have what we know, whether you're doing this 1 minute or 1 year or 10 years. So there's no like, wait, you asked a dumb question. There's no dumb questions, number one. And number two, I say to them, I'm 4 decades in business. Like, this event is not the kind of like gate return that I would do in exchange for being bored. Like, no, I got to tell 4 days out of my business. And if you think I'm showing up and I'm not going to learn a thing or two, you're out of your mind, because I could do other things to make money. I'm not going to be bored and make money. You're like,
yeah. And that just shows the value. I mean, that's just the character and who you are, LuAnn, which I think a lot of us just know it resonates. So we appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. No. So I'm so looking forward to having you for 4 days. It's going to be amazing. And I encourage everybody to go to LuAnnLive.com. And I didn't even mention, you are going to be paired with Michelle Wiebe from Studio M. And your mind is going to be blown, Brad. This woman is a fierce powerhouse, kind. Like, you know what it's like a stereotype. As soon as I say fierce powerhouse, you think of when you think of a woman like that. It's like, no. Kind, generous, unassuming, but man alive. Her sweet spot is houses 15,000 square foot and above, doing them from ground up. She's got a massive team, and she's your kind of people on the other side. And when I think about the conversation that both newer designers, window treatment, and builders are going to get, let alone seasoned ones, from the two of you, it's like, whoa. I'm like, whoa.
Well, don't confuse my kindness with weakness, right? That's exactly how she is. That's how it is.
That's right. And so just like your podcast, give them your podcast, how they reach you, how they follow you, all the things. And then, of course, we'll also have the information connecting with the episodes that you've been on my show.
Yeah, so pretty simple. I mean, every handle we have is AFT Construction. It stands for A Finer Touch, but aftconstruction.com is the website. You'll see my handle here is AFT Construction as well. TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, LinkedIn, Brad Leavitt. And yeah, the podcast, they can either search the AFT Construction Podcast or Brad Leavitt. So either of those should pop up on any podcast platform.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, my friend, I adore you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful the universe connected us. Jenny Slingerland connected
Yeah.
us. That was an awesome connection that time. And I'll see you in a few months.
Okay, sounds good, LuAnn. Thanks for having me today. And I appreciate you having me, even though I'm in my truck, my mobile office. So,
Fine with me. We'll take you however we can get you, buddy.
okay, we'll see you later.
All right, Brad. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty, guys. How amazing, right? Like, don't you like, are you like, you just want to be there now, right? He's such a super kind human, runs his business so well, so thought out, so intentional, and is just so happy and willing to share the strategies and the tactics that work for him, both in his business and how he comes to his profitability and accountability for that project costing, but also in that connection between himself and the designer world and the window treatment professionals, how he works with these professionals to make sure that he's delivering the best product to his consumer. So I thank you tons for joining us today. I saw so many of you that I know you and I know your names out there, and I appreciate you. Nisi, you're one of them. I saw you out there. Hi, sweetie. Hope you're good. Anyway, LuAnnLive.com. Go look it out. I'm going to tell you what, we've got about 2 or 3 weeks until the ticket prices raise. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's $11.95 for general admission. I think it's $21.95 for VIP. Brad's going to be a VIP expert, so you might get into a roundtable like a 3-on-1 with him, which would be amazing. But we are going to be raising the ticket prices, going up. I'm not sure if it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It goes to $14.95. So that's for the general admission. And I think we only have maybe 15 VIP tickets left out of 75. So if you want a VIP ticket, they are $21.95 are going to go to $24.95. Worth every penny, worth every penny, I promise you. All right, my friends, love your guts. Thank you so much for joining today. I cannot wait to see you at LuAnn Live. Hi, Tana. Hi, Tanya. How you doing? All right, bye-bye. Have a great day.